You want to throw your mark on the board, dude? You're free to read it too if you just want to cook and look at it.
Okay, thanks.
What's that?
It's an interesting question, though.
Yeah. Are you a follower of Jesus yourself? Is that why you stopped to look, or what was the reason why?
Just a curious person.
Yeah, you're curious, bro. I like that. Have you read about Jesus yourself?
I have.
You have? When did you do that?
Grew up Christian church
Okay.
for a lot of my life, but didn't really stick with me.
Sure. Why do you think that is?
I think the church I went to it wasn't the best. I think they kind of spent a lot of time singing rather than teaching.
I see. Do you prefer the teaching more than the singing?
Yeah.
I see. And are you getting that teaching somewhere else then?
No.
Why not? I thought you prefer the teaching.
Doesn't mean that I want to go pursue the teaching.
I see. Why not though? What's the reason?
I don't know. I guess nothing's really made it apparent that I need it in my life.
So if I made it apparent you needed it in your life, you would do it.
If you could.
If you have an open mind, I'd be willing to try to persuade you openly and honestly.
All
I just would have to find out what matters the most to you.
I got like 3 or 4 minutes.
3 or 4 minutes. So what matters the most to you? Is it that it's true? That it's helpful? What do you think is the thing that makes Christianity weighty to you?
That makes it what to me?
Yeah, what would make it weighty to you? Something that has weight for you to pursue.
I guess I don't know that either. I guess, yeah, truth would be part of it, but I think I already know that some of what is taught in the Bible may not be 100% true, and some of it's more helpful. I think the helpful part, I enjoy that too. I think I value both.
You value truth and helpfulness. Here's why I think a lot of people walk away from Jesus is because he's inconvenient. Most Americans are very comfortable in their individualism, and they prefer materialism and convenience to the conviction, because conviction requires you to make uncomfortable decisions. And so they either will do one of 3 things. They're either going to tame Jesus to fit their preconceived notions of what they want. They're going to deny Jesus openly by saying that they just don't want to believe it, but they won't cite good evidence as to why they can't. It's because their desires are that's the one thing that's really persuading them, is their desires, not evidence. Or they'll just quietly apostatize, meaning they'll go to church, they'll do all this stuff, but in their heart, they won't yield themselves to God, because what they're trying to do is justify themselves before God by saying, look, I went to church, I didn't really believe what you said, but I did good things. And Jesus isn't on board. So I think I'll make 3 statements. 1, what Jesus taught, we have it from history, from primary sources in history. We know what he taught because we have primary history documents that show it from independent collaborated sources. 2, his resurrection from the dead is it's far more plausible to believe it's historical than not. And if it did happen, that would validate all his teaching and make everything we're talking about super heavy, super weighty. But 3, I can personally testify for my own self. I grew up in a church that didn't really believe in any of that stuff. And my freshman year here, that changed. And my freshman year here, it changed because it was the first time I was actually reading it for myself to decide, what was I going to do with it? Am I actually going to follow Jesus, or am I going to just play church? Basically, am I just going to go to church and do a thing?
So how do you believe that everything in the Bible is the truth?
Yes, I do. I don't have a reason not to. Archaeology, history, logic, reason, science, none of that disconfirms what we have in the Bible. In fact, people consult the Bible archaeologically to find things. They consult it historically as a historical source. I think the hard part for people, though, is when they say what's true, they're talking about 21st century standards of what's forensically true, like, for example, physics, mathematics, things like that. We just usually forget the Bible's an ancient Near Eastern document. It's not written to a modern audience, and it's not written with the values of a modern audience in mind. So when they come to things that they don't understand, they often interpret it. Modern Christians, they interpret it through the lens of what they expect from forensic, analytical, mathematical precision, rather than asking the more important question, which is, this book is written in the ancient Near East to people who are in the ancient Near East. How is it when they wrote documents, how were they writing, and what were they intending to convey when they wrote? Instead of asking that question, they colonize the text with their own understanding, and that's where you get into a lot of interpretive problems.
So I know it's kind of like the opposite of what you just said. Do you still believe in evolution along the line?
One can believe in both. Because Genesis 1 and 2, what do I? I'm not persuaded because you'd have to ask me more specifically what form of evolution. If you were to go to a bunch of scientists right now that were evolutionary biologists and ask them, what do you believe evolution is true? They would say yes. Say which one? They have disagreements across a number of different variables, whether they believe in macroevolution, microevolution, the age of the earth, what kinds of transitional forms existed. There's not a consensus of a group called just evolutionary biology that just says, oh, we all believe in the same thing. They're actually much more like churches with different sects within them. So I think it's compatible, but I'm not persuaded that it's actually that important to know. And whether or not it's true or not, it doesn't matter. I think the most important reason is why. Like, why, if evolution exists, why did it occur? Not how. Why did it occur? And what would be the point? What's the ultimate point for it? Because science can't answer that question for me. It can't tell me why we're here. It can tell me maybe how we got here in some forms, from a maybe a molecular situation, but it can't tell you why you're here. And I bet you right now, when you're walking around, and I bet you have like somebody in your life you think is special, you don't probably reduce what your understanding is of that person down to just brain gas and dopamine in your head. You don't say, oh, I just have lots of extra brain gas and dopamine for you. You have meaning associated. So science cannot give us questions of meaning, and yet you live a lifestyle that you think is meaningful. And so I would say because of that, you should investigate what Jesus says, because Jesus claims to be the meaning behind the whole story.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. What's your name?
Gabriel.
Gabriel. Can we meet again, man? You see our whiteboard a lot or what?
Sometimes it's the same people, same whiteboard every time.
Well, there's a lot of people who are now putting whiteboards on campus, which I'm totally cool with. But we have a question every time, and then we have people initiate and talk. We're here every day.
Well, I walk past all the time. I'll
Yeah.
talk to you again.
Please, let's do it, Gabriel.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good
Nice talking to
conversation.
you.
Yeah, let's talk again.